Welcome to School of Miracles. I'm Heather Scavetta, and today I'm going to talk about trust. Many times my students who come to learn spiritual abilities, maybe to open up their spiritual centers or learn what already they are perceiving but not understanding. All these different reasons why people start their spiritual journey. And sometimes it shifts and turns in different directions depending on what happens. Each person has an individualized program, you could say, something that was written before you were born, a life plan, a divine plan. And we sometimes have to battle our own will of what we want as opposed to what God wants for us. But if we look at truly what God wants for us, we will start to understand that those desires are actually the same as ours. Because what does He want for you? He wants you to feel peaceful. He wants you to be joyful. He wants you to be curious, to be creative. He wants you to have peace of mind. He wants you to follow your heart. He wants you to develop or use your compassion for yourself and others. That's just a small example of the types of things that God wants for you. So I remember a long time ago, I would question that. I don't understand what God wants for me. So how does that differ from what I want for myself? But now I understand those things. And those desires, again, are kind of built into us. We can deny them. We can say those desires aren't there. But what we will find is when we pursue our own desires, maybe it's for material gains, maybe it's to be famous, all these kind of worldly desires may not be God's will for us. And so there can be a discord there where we resist what's happening in our life because we want something different. If you can understand that you agreed to your life plan before you came here, that you knew the potential of your life and what you could understand about yourself, really, through the process of living here, and what you could offer to others. It's just a small example of what is possible in these incarnations or these life experiences. But when we find ourselves frustrated, I don't like the way my life is, I wish it was different, why is it not like this, why is it not like that? We can look at ourselves and see if it's ourselves that have hindered that process. But more importantly, we can trust life. Trust that it's all been laid out for us. Trust that we are living this spiritual path correctly. Because the spiritual path is our life. Often I hear people ask questions like that. Am I on the right path? Your life is the path. So yes, you're on the right path. And if you have to ask that question, am I on the right path? Then it's an opportunity for you to reflect on what is happening or not happening within your life? Is it something that you can control, or is it something that you need to accept? Most suffering is because we resist what is. And if we accept what is, a lot of that self-induced suffering disappears. When we accept God's will for us, a lot of that resistance falls away. And you hear people say things like, let God's will be done. But I'm trying to educate you or give you an opportunity to reflect on that. What is God's will for you? Along the way, learning these things, learning to express the questions that we have about ourselves, about our life, helps us understand where we are in this understanding of self. When you have to ask a question, there is uncertainty there. You want to be reassured that you're on the right path, that you're going in the right direction. How many times in your life have you been given advice? Don't do that. Make this choice. Do this, not that. And for the most part, we don't take that advice because there's something about life that we really don't believe what someone else is telling us unless we have lived that experience. And so it's okay that you don't take good advice. It's really okay that you don't take bad advice. But perhaps looking instead within to trust yourself to know the answer as well. If you truly don't know if it's the right direction you're going in, take it. And perhaps give yourself flexibility to alter it or move slightly in different directions. Many times people think that they want to have this career, and then they start school towards that career and they change their majors. They go into a different direction because they realize it's not for me. You're further ahead by doing that than not making a decision at all and not moving forward. So even if you feel like you didn't make the best decision, you're probably further ahead by at least making a decision. Hopefully, the older you get, the more life experience you've had, the more you understand yourself and why you're here and what you have uniquely to contribute. And stop asking other people what they think. Because they don't know. They don't know you. You know you. Trust yourself more and more. If you make a decision out of fear, most likely it's not a good decision. If you make a decision without fear in it, like let's see what happens, or I'm not sure, let's try this out, more than saying I'm scared to do this, so I'm not going to do that. So we have to be self-reflective of how we make decisions. What is the process that we come to it with? This is what you're learning too. The more you know about yourself, the easier decisions are to make. Because you know who you are and you know what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, what is meaningful in your life, how you can best express yourself, all these things. So whenever you feel anxious about the future or your decisions, trust that your life is laid out for you. and trust yourself to make a good decision. You can ask other people, maybe people who are experts in the field that you want to go into. I remember when I decided to go to nursing school, I must have asked a dozen RNs if they thought it was a good idea that I go into nursing. They all said no. And I did it anyways. This is my point, right? Sometimes we just have to live it. We're not going to take somebody else's advice, but sometimes we like to just kind of bounce ideas off of other people. So it's okay to, throw it out there and see what happens. But we do have to trust ourselves, and I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I became a nurse, because I never would have understood that part of me. So trust. Trust that God has a plan for you. Trust that it's already playing out. Trust in the future, that it will bring what it's supposed to for you and for those around you. Because remember, we don't live in a vacuum. We live with others. We live within communities. We have people in our soul groups that are very close to us who are affected by what we do. And so our life, yes, is about understanding ourselves, but none of that happens without other people, because we need that reflection often to understand that. So everything that you do can affect the people around you. So trust in yourself, trust in life, and it may reduce or completely remove anxiety. Stop thinking about the future. That's not going to change anything. Let it be what it is. And the more you understand who you are, the better decisions you make about your future. So God bless. Thank you for listening. And I look forward to next time. Bye for now.